Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on the easy join for your mystery blanket and the easy border for your mystery blanket. All right, so for those of you whom have completed the squares and would like to try the more difficult join, then head over to part 4A. That is our tutorial on the more difficult join and the difficult border. You can head over there and complete that now. Now, the very first link you see in the description box down below will be 4A. All right. Once you complete 4B here, if you are new to crochet, that is the end of your blanket and your blanket is complete. Now, I've just put together 4 squares to help us out in creating the easier version for you. Now I've completed 4 squares just for a placemat really for me, for the table for Easter, so I'm looking forward to that. My little placemat is complete, which means at the end of this tutorial, your mystery blanket will be complete. So there you go. All right, what will you need for your to complete your blanket today? You'll obviously need your 4 squares. You will have needed to complete the first 10 minutes and 30 seconds. I say 30 seconds because there's more to it. So the first 10 minutes and 30 seconds of part 4A. So you need to go back and complete part 4A, the first 10 minutes of it, and then meet me back here and complete 4B. That's why I've named it 4A and B. So that gives you the opportunity to start or to finish off your squares, because your squares will not be complete until you finish the first 10 minutes of 4A. All right. Now 4A, once again, that tutorial is the very first link you see in the description box down below. Click on that very first link, complete your squares through the first 10 minutes of 4A. Come back here and then complete this part. This is only for the new crocheter who didn't join their pieces in 4A. All right, so you're going to be joining your squares today. You're going to be doing your 2 rounds in the border. You will need your scissors. You will need 4 to 20 to 24 stitch markers. You will need a sewing needle, yes, to weave in ends. You will have ends, and you will need the 4mm hook or the hook size you use to create your squares. All right, so that's pretty much all you'll need. You'll need the rest of your cotton. Hopefully your cotton held out and you had it the right amounts. You'll need the rest of that to complete this pattern today. All right, so I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let you get started completing the joining of your squares and your border round for your mystery blanket. Good luck all. Alrighty guys, before you continue, don't forget, if you have not completed your square, go back to 4A, the tutorial of 4A, and the first 10 minutes and 30 seconds of that tutorial you need to complete before continuing this part. All right, so don't forget to do that now. But for the rest of us, let's start. And what you have now is your 4 squares. This is your right side of your work. If you can't remember, you should have, if I can find one. It's always the last one you pick up, I'm sure. There it is. You need to have your tail underneath there. Yeah, and that shows you that that's the wrong side of your work and the right side of your work should be facing you for a moment. All right, what I've done is I've actually placed the similar stitch markers opposite each other, the similar colours at least, to show you that's where we're going to start, all right? But what I want you to do before you do anything is make sure your right-hand tail is on your right-hand side, your left-hand tail is on your left-hand side at the base of your work, and at the top of your work, exactly the same, right on the right hand, and left on the left hand. It just makes a little bit less tails in one section for you to worry about, all right? Once you've done all of that, move the first 2 squares out the way. Keep them like that for later, but move them out the way completely. Yeah. Grab these 2 squares and let's bring that up a little. That's it. So this is where you are at the moment. Remember, this is still the right side of your work. Lift up your piece, lift up the other piece and pop them together like so. Now, still with the right side of your work facing you on this side and the right side facing that way on that side. grab your first stitch marker and pop it in the opposite stitch like that, and then pull out that stitch marker. You won't need that anymore. Come over to here and do exactly the same thing. Like so. You won't be needing that anymore. What you have now is that. Yeah, so you're going to continue to keep them together like that. Like that. All right, so that's the right side of your work, and that's the right side of your work. The wrong side is on the inside where all the tails will be if you haven't weaved them in. All right, grabbing your hook. Now you can use the exact same hook that you use to crochet your piece with. So pop your hook in that stitch with your stitch marker, straight into the opposite stitch on the other side. Remove your stitch marker. Grabbing your thread. Now you can use whatever colour you like. I'm going to keep mine in Sync and use the cream. But if you want to use one of the other colours, by all means you can do that. Grabbing your thread, popping it over the hook, and just pulling the loop through like so. What you have is this. Just grab, I'll bring this out a little bit so you can see. Grab your little tail and just give it a bit of a tug, popping it forward just for the chain, just so that you can make the knot. Then I want you to drop your thread. Just pop it back that way for this part of your tutorial. The reason is we need you to keep your tails on the outside of your work, all right? And you're going to pop a single crochet in the same stitch you are in, making sure you're holding that little tail at the back. So single in that stitch and the opposite stitch like so. So you're popping your hook in both sides, right through the thicknesses. Pull a loop through like normal. If you can want to still hold your tail, you can, or you can hold it with your hands at the back. Now pull your loop through to complete a single crochet. Single crochet US, double crochet in the UK. Yeah. All right, so now your tail is back there. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Now what we're going to do, see if I can get a nice close-up for you. There's your very next stitch. You're in this stitch. You can see your thread there. Go right into your very next stitch there. Have a look on the opposite side. That's the stitch you are in. Now you want to go right into the very next stitch. All right, it's through all the thicknesses. Pull a loop through. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, second single crochet. Do it again in the very next stitch. All right, now this can be a tiny little bit tricky where you may accidentally do this there, and then you accidentally skip a stitch and you've missed it and you've made a little bubble effect. Or you've accidentally gone into the same stitch. So really take note of where you are going. You are in this stitch. Go to the back, you're in that stitch there. You can see the next stitch is right there. All right. Pop your hook in to the next side like that. Check where you are here. Go into the very next one. Take your time. There's no rush to get it done now. It's a really big row for you guys. Not so much for me because I'm using the small squares, but if you're doing the blanket, then it's going to be a really big row. All right, so take your time, single crochet into every stitch all the way across. Get to, let's say, your third last stitch there, and wait for me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, single crochet across, get there, and I'll meet you there in just a moment. Alrighty guys, so here I am towards the end of this round. You may have found around the 5th stitch anyway. It was a bit awkward to use while you had your stitch markers in there. Alright, so what I want you to do for now, oh wait a minute before we do, just check that you have all your stitches there. I have 3 singles left on this side, 3 on this side, so mine even out. Flip your work over and make sure you haven't split any stitches or missed any. And if you want to see if you've done, skipped some and added an extra here or there, you will see this work will kind of bubble this side or bubble on one side. And that's how you know you've made your error, all right? But no errors here, so we're going to continue. If you have messed up and you've made too many single crochets in one of your squares and you wanted to even it out, there is a way. All right, let me just take one undone, a few undone here for you so I can show you. Let's say for argument's sake you had too many on this side and not enough on that side. So you would put a single crochet in there and then go right back into the stitch that you were in, and that would even out your sides. So let's say you had it the other way where there was too many here on this side and not enough here. You would go into the same stitch that you are in and then go into the new stitch on the opposite side, and that will even it up for you. That's only if you don't want to take undone, like you've made a mistake and you don't want to take it undone. But I would take it undone, seriously. You don't want bubbled look in your blanket, especially after all the hours of hard work you put into it. You really don't want a bubbled look, yeah? And I think I just did that stitch a little too loose. Let's try that again. All right, so getting to the end of your piece, but what we'll do right now is we will actually place that other stitch marker in this side. I think that was the best way to do it and not put them together. I'll do it the other way. It'll be easier to take out of that side than this side. Yeah, so we'll do that. And make sure that you've got one on both sides, yeah? I just realised it's probably easier this way. When we do the other side, we'll do it this way. So you go into that fourth last stitch, yeah? And you go into the fourth last stitch on that side right there, all right? It is easier. You can separate it and see where you are, yeah? All right. Single in your next, single in your next. Keep it going all the way across until you get to your stitch marker, which we are almost there. That was a bit of a tight stitch. Did you like that? You saw how much I struggled to get into that stitch. And we're on to our second last stitch right there. All right, so this is our last stitch. What are we going to do? Single into the stitch, like any other stitch. Take out your stitch markers for one moment. You actually won't be needing them there anymore. Yeah. So you've taken out your stitch markers and what you have is that. All right, just leave that there. In fact, what we can do, pull up the loop for a minute and just open it out. That's what you have. And that's the way we started when we first had our 4 squares together. Now bringing back your other two squares, make sure you haven't moved them. Check that your left thread is over here and your left thread is over here, and you haven't moved them and the colours are matching. This is only if you use colours, right? I use colours and they're matching, okay? So what you want to do is do just that. You want to go into the next stitch on this side and the next stitch on that side. So closing this up again, pop your hook in, leave it there, and grabbing these two here. I've got threads here. I thought I weaved them in. Oh no, that's the base thread. Okay, so bringing those two together like that. We're not going to use the stitch markers this time. We're just going to leave the ones we have. All right, and I'll just bring this up so you can see what I'm doing here. All right. So right now, just leave your thread at the back. Leave everything loose here. It's okay. We'll fix that in a minute. But in the meantime, just pop your hook in the opposite side. Get rid of that stitch marker. And the opposite stitch. And get rid of that stitch marker. Making sure your tail is at the back still, right there. And tightening it a little bit and just doing a normal single crochet, just making sure, I'm sorry about the noise, that's the stitch markers, guys, sorry, on the table. Making sure that's close together and it's not like this. Yeah, you really want it to be close together like so. Don't pull too tight, you don't want that tugging, so you just complete your single crochet like normal. Jump straight into the very next stitch here and the very next stitch on the opposite side, and complete your single crochets like normal, as though you are just crocheting all along. I had to check there. I'm in there. I'm going to go into that very next stitch. All right, that first few, well, I should say those first few stitches, let's get a close-up for you, were a little bit tricky, yeah? It should sit nicely like that, not with a massive gap or pulling, and not stuck where it's like this and you can't work with it. All right, it should just sit nice like that. All right, so the rest, I think you can do the rest of this side. All you're doing is single crocheting across, just like you did to the other side, except now you're on the second set. All right, it's very easy. I love doing this join. The only difference with this join is it can give a little bit of a raised look about it. So if you liked the flatter look, you need to go back to the more difficult join in part 4A. All right, but this join here will give a raised look. You will have like a little lift in between. But the benefit about this look is if you are working with all greens like I am today, you could have used the green on top of your white and it really highlights that picture. Yeah. In this case, when you're making your blankets and you've got the 4 different colours, it would have been a little bit awkward for you to do that. Yeah. But if you're using the one colour of the green and the white, you could have gone over it with the green, and it looks like you did that on purpose and just to highlight the join. All right, that's just another little tip there. All right, so what I want you to do, easy, single crochet, get to your very second last stitch right here, and I'll meet you there in a moment, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at our second last stitch. And let's get a nice close-up for you so you can see what I'm doing. I haven't completed the second last stitch, so I'm going to do that now. It's a little tight, but it's there. And a little tight, but it's there. Some of my stitches are fairly tight. I crochet fairly tight, guys, okay? And then you have your last stitch, which is your stitch marker, all right? So into the stitch marker stitch, into the other stitch marker stitch, complete your single crochet. Oops, we should have removed them. We'll remove them now before we continue. So remove those 2 stitch markers. You won't need them there anymore. Okay. Making sure that you haven't made any errors in your work because you're about to cast off this side. So pull up a loop like that. Grab your scissors, give it a cut. And there you go. That's your first side done. What I want you to do right now is flip it open. And one side should be leaning forward a little bit and the other side will be leaning the other way. So that's all leaning forward that way, right? So what you want to do is go to the side that's leaning forward this way. You don't start your single crochets this way and pull it back. You don't. You go this way and see where it's leaning forward that way. This is the way you'll crochet this side. All right, hope that made sense. Don't go this way and try and do your single crochets across here and it pulls, yeah? You want to put your single crochets, you want to single crochet the way your single crochet is bowing, if that makes sense, the way it's pulling, all right? So grab your hook. This is the fun part. Once you do this bit, the rest is easy, yeah? I hope you like that. The rest is easy. Pop your hook. Here we go. In the stitch on this side and the stitch on the opposite side. Mine might be really tight, and it is. And just taking out those stitch markers. And these are one of our really old ones. This one I bought, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And this one here, maybe 3 or 4, I'm not sure. But there you go. Pop your hook through those 2 stitches. Grab your cream again, or the colour that you used across this way, yeah, and just bring them together like you did before. Oops, if I can get the cream to work for me. Here we go. Pop the thread over your hook, pull it through like so, just passing your loop forward, remember, so we can just lock it with a chain, and then passing it over again. And in the same stitch you are in, you are going to do a single crochet. Pop your hook in, pull a loop through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both those loops. That's single crochet, US, double UK. Okay, and guess what? That's pretty much it. single into your next, and into your next. Now, see how I was checking to make sure I've gone into the right stitch. It blurred a bit there. Sorry, guys. Making sure you are in the correct stitching all the way across. Single and single. All right. Basically, this is the same as before. You're just going all the way across. Super duper easy. All right. Now, probably when you get to the last 3 or 4 stitches here is where it's going to get a little awkward. All right. So maybe on the last 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll go the 5th stitch. Get across here all the way to that 5th stitch right there. Meet me there, and I'll tell you what we're going to do next because it can be a little bit tricky, this area. All right, so single crochet all the way across, get to your 4th or 5th last stitch, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side. Now I said to you to get to your 5th last or 4th last stitch. I think I'm on my 5th last. So there's the 4th. And this part here, it pays to pop your finger in there to find exactly where you're going, okay? Just to separate it a little bit to know exactly where you're going. There, and here's your 3rd last. 1, 2, 3 is over here. There. It's a bit tricky, the area, but it's still easier to do this join than the other one from 4A. So heads up there. It really is. Well, you're on your last stitch there, and you go into that last stitch before the corner, the last stitch on the opposite side, and I've split it, so make sure you don't split it. There. Complete your single crochet like so. And what you have is this. What you want to do is you want to go into the stitch that is already single crocheted. So you're going into the stitch on one side, into the stitch on the other, completing the single crochet. Chain 1, jumping over the knot, straight into the single crochet on the other side. It's actually a half double, by the way. Straight into the half double on one side, the half double on the other, and doing a normal single crochet. Then into the first stitch, you see there, into the first stitch on the opposite side, and you have now completed that little corner section. All right. So that was a tiny tricky. It was. There you go. How's that? Oh, I almost put it in the same stitch then. I had to look. So always check, guys. And, you know, it's okay to keep checking. If you want to open it up and have a look to see what it looks like on top, simply divine, okay? See how it sits nicely? If you were to have gone the other way, your work would have been pulling. But going this way, your work is sitting nicely. All right, so guess what? Oh, let me bring it out a little bit so you can see. You are going to single crochet all the way across, get to your very last section right there, meet me there, and get ready for border round. Alrighty guys, so here we are at the end of this side. Now that's closed everything completely, but before you continue, just make sure that the side that you just completed is all neat and everything is correct and there's no splitting of yarn or splitting of stitches, because we are going to finish off this side too. All right, so what you have left is the one stitch. Like before, you're going into your last stitch, you're going into your last stitch on the opposite side, completing your single crochet, and then all you're doing is pulling up your loop. You don't have to have a really long tail, but long enough to weave in, yeah? Make sure you have a long enough to weave in. Don't cut it real short like here and then you can't weave it in anywhere, yeah? All right, removing your stitch markers. You don't need them there anymore on the centers of each stitch. You don't need them there, all right? You will need them on the corners, so keep your corners in. Yeah, let's go down to there. Keep your corner stitch markers in, just removing all your center ones. You don't need them there, all right? So all you need is 1, 2, 3, and 4 stitch markers. Now, it doesn't matter where you start. Pick a corner, any corner you like. I'm going to start right here, just for fun. And where you're going to pop your hook, this is the only corner that's going to have a lot of threads. In fact, that thread is a fairly short one, so I might leave that and find one that's really long so it's easier for me to weave in. Here we go. There's one that's easier for me to weave in later. All right, so find a corner you like I just got all fussy. And then just quickly pop your hook in here. Get excited, guys. We're nearing the end of your blanket. Remove your stitch marker, grab your thread. All right, here we go. So grabbing your thread, whichever colour you like for your border rounds, yeah? So pop your loop over your hook, pull it through, just disregarding that tail. You don't even need to worry about that right now. Grab the tail end, just passing it forward so that we can lock it into place. Oops, I've just pulled it. Don't pull at it. Chain one. And single crochet in the same stitch, like you've been doing all along, over your stitch. Pop your stitch marker in there. I'm going to pop an orange one in, just because it's nice and bright. Doesn't mean anything. But you do need one here, because this is where you're going to slip stitch into at the end of the round. All right. So what I want you to do here is do another single crochet right there, and then pop a second stitch marker. Now that is only to tell you the center of your piece, and we'll talk about that later. And in the same stitch you are in, place another single crochet all over your tail like so. All right, so what you should have in there is 3 single crochets and 2 stitch markers, but there is method behind my madness here. Yeah, so you can continue to crochet over your tail. I'm going to do the first few stitches, or the first 3 stitches at least, but we're still going to weave that in at the end. Don't assume you've crocheted over it, that's it. My suggestion would be to weave them in as well. All right, so single in your next stitch. This is a very basic round. Single in your next, crocheting over my tail. We'll do it a 3rd one, and we'll do it a 4th one, and then we'll hide it at the back, because we are still going to weave that end in and out a few times. All right, and then that's it. That's pretty much all you're doing. Single crocheting all the way across. All right, so what I want you to do, single crochet, let's go like that, single crochet all the way across, get to the second last stitch, or the last stitch just before the center of your piece. All right, single crochet US all the way across, double crochet UK all the way across, get to this section right here, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side. Well, no, not the side, just, up to the center where I asked you to go. All right, so I have a few more stitches before the center, so I'm going to complete 1 and 2. All right, so before we put our single crochet on this join in each one of our corners there, so we join the corners together. So what we want to do is still make sure there's a single crochet here and a single crochet here. Now what the problem here is that we've got this big knot in the middle. So what we're going to do is do the single crochet there. Now before we do single crochet in the next one, we started in that top stitch there. All right, so popping your hook in the top stitch, just grab that little tail and passing it at the back. You can hold it there, or just as long as it's at the back. Yeah, start your single crochet like that, hold it there, and you're jumping straight into the space. Pull a loop through, and you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops of your hook. What you've done is you've still done 1 single crochet there, and you've still done 1 single crochet on the opposite side, but you've joined that middle section in. Let's do that again so you can see what I did. I'll do it nice close up, so you know exactly where I went. All right, so I've got the tail at the back. I went into the thickness of that single crochet round that we did, pop the hook in, pull a loop through. Now the single crochet was actually crocheted in this corner, so we want to pop our hook into the corner, pull a loop through. Now we've got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and it is put these two together into the one stitch. All right, I hope that made sense. And then single in every other stitch all the way across. All right, so it's a little tricky to begin with, but once you see it nice and close, you understand what's happened there. All right, so you see what's happened there? It's become a straight line. This has gone down. Your thread is at the back. So later when we're done, we can weave that. Oops, we can weave that in down the back. All right, it's there, yeah? How nice does it look with that straight edge, yeah? All right, continue to do that all the way across. Single crochet until you get to your corner. Meet me there, a couple of stitches off your corner, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side here. That is one side almost complete. Now I asked you to get to your last 2 or 3 stitches. I have 1 stitch left and then I have the corner stitch. I've got a little knot here that you probably would have as well. What I want you to do is pop your hook into the very last stitch before the corner, grab that little thread, pass it at the back somewhere, yeah, and do your single crochet over that thread, and it's just pulled it down at the back. All right, hopping into the corner with a single crochet, a second single crochet, remove your stitch marker, place it in the top of that second single crochet, and then do a third one like that, and then single into every stitch all the way across. I said this was going to be a super easy round for you guys here at Wow Crochet Designs. Yep. All right, super easy. Single crochet to every stitch until you get to that very next, and let's bring that out a little bit. Here we go. So single crochet into every stitch until you get to that section right there, the middle section. Get there, meet me there, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this one side and we're at the center again. Just going to show you how to do that center one last time, okay? And this one's a little bit loose, easier for you to see, which is good. All right, so I'm going to pop my single crochet in that first corner. Now in the second corner, we have that corner there and we have all this knot here. You're going to start your single crochet in the thickness of that stitch. Just grab your little tail and passing it at the back. And with your working end, you're pulling a loop through like so. You've got your 2 loops on your hook. Find the little corner space here. Pop your hook in there. Pull a loop through. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Single right into the very next stitch. Super easy, okay? Once you get the flow of those single crocheting 2 stitches together, it does become a little easier, all right? And look how natural it looks like that, yeah? All right, so simple. I'm going to give you some full instructions now so you don't have to sit here and watch me doing it all. I've nearly pulled my thread out. Just be careful, don't do that. In fact, your best bid is to grab one of these stitch markers and pop it in the loop so that when you do walk away, it's not going to come undone. Little tip I use in most of my tutorials. All right, so there you go. What I want you to do, super easy now. You know how to do a corner. You know how to do the join together. That's all you have in this round. Singles across a corner. Singles across, join together. Singles across corner, singles across, join together, etc., etc., until you get to these 2 stitch markers, all right? Once you get to these 2 stitch markers right here, wait for me there and we'll talk about what we're going to do for our final border round here at Wow Crochet Designs and your mystery blanket. So head off on your own, continue that round, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this round. Super exciting. Did it take you a long time? Yes, it did. It certainly did. All right, single crochet. Oh, I've got a few stitches left. How many have I got left? 2 more, I think. Yes, 1 more there and 1 last one. And I've got a piece of thread here, which you would have too. So you're popping your hook in your last stitch. Grab that thread and passing it at the back of your work and completing your last single crochet there. Now we've already popped a single crochet in this particular corner. I did it this way. We haven't been doing it throughout our work, but I did it this way for now. Okay, all I want you to do is slip stitch into that stitch right there, pull a loop through like so. Chain 1, single crochet into the same stitch. Remove your stitch marker. That is not your corner. Your corner is your very next stitch. I'm sorry, when I said remove your stitch marker, I meant to place it in the same stitch that you just did. Sorry about that. Remove your stitch marker and replace it in that stitch. All right, that is not your corner. As I was saying, your corner is this stitch where the stitch marker is. So in there, you pop a single crochet, a second one, and normally you would be popping a stitch marker here. Only if you want to complete your blanket with something else. But this round here is going to be our final round of our blanket. And it's only going to be a very basic round like I mentioned in the promo. Okay, so I'm going to remove my stitch marker completely. We will no longer need it, but you've only got 2 single crochets in there. You need to put a third one. So make sure you have 3 single crochets in every corner. Turn your work to the side, single crochet into your first stitch, single into your next, and so on all the way across. Now, the reason I wanted to do something basic for you here, guys, is to keep it as easy as possible for you. If you wanted something a little bit more exciting, you can head off to 4A and complete the border round there, and that's the time on 4A that you can go and complete the border round. But it will be a little tricky for you if you are new to crochet. So continue to do this border here. Get to, I reckon, just before your corner, not your corner, your center. Let me bring that out a bit. So continue to do this side just before your center. Don't get into the center yet. Just go just before it. Meet me there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, single crochet all the way across. Get there and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here I am to right up to that stitch marker. Now I'll remove it. I just wanted to show you. Remember how we did that single crochet 2 together? All right, just like normal. You're going to find each stitch and do a single crochet in it. So single in your next, single in your next, single in your next. This is where you did your 2 together. It'll be a little bit tight maybe. Single in the next. Yours might be loose, who knows. And just single over your area. You're just doing a normal single in every stitch, as though you didn't do your 2 together. All right, so let's have a look at it. Right there. Perfect. And you don't see the join. You don't see where this part is. We'll talk about the thread later. You just see that gorgeous closure. All right, so it's super easy. What I want you to do is just single crochet until you get to your first corner right there. Meet me there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty, here we are at the end of this side. It's looking simply divine. I love it so much, yeah. It looks so neat, and I think with all the beautiful colours, the cream highlights all those beautiful colours that you have. All right, so we're up to our stitch marker stitch. Easy. Single 1, single 2, single 3, or you could have done the way I did before, and then remove your stitch marker and ignore the corner and just single. Make sure you don't miss that first stitch though, yeah, or your work will start to pull, and just single in every stitch across. I told you this round was going to be a super easy round. All right, so I don't think I need to show you any more for now. And I say for now because what I want you to do, I love the look of this blanket so far, is single all the way across. Get to your next corner, 3 singles in the corner, remove that stitch marker, single all the way across, 3 singles in the corner, remove that one, single all the way across, get to just before your first stitch that you created, and we will finalize our blanket. All right, single all the way across, 3 in each corner. I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this round. Oh, get excited. I have a couple of stitches left to go, yet 2. Single in your next and single in the second last stitch. I'm sorry, let's try the last stitch right there. And then you are slip stitching into the stitch with your stitch marker. Pull a loop through, check that your round is perfect, if you will, or at least as good as you want it to be. Yeah, pull up a loop, nice long tail, getting that ready for weaving in later because you're done. Now, if you didn't want to cut it there and you wanted to do an extra round, be wary that extra round will tighten up your work. Okay, it's already kind of tightened it up now and you don't want it any tighter. Yeah, all right. So what we're going to do, flip our work. Now, I've weaved in most of my tails. I left the centerpiece, one of these middle side sections, and your last 2, obviously, that last one. So real quickly, we're going to, let's work on this one here, the side piece, just in case you guys have already weaved in your center thread. If you haven't weaved your center thread in, you must weave that in. If you cut it just like that, you have the risk of your blanket coming undone because there's no knot. All right, so just heads up there. And let's bring that in. Okay. So remember we crocheted over this tail and we left it at the back. That's not enough. You need to weave that end in. So find some threads. Let's move all that out the way. There we go. Find some threads right here where you want to go. Anywhere you want to go, and just weave it down. Now, before you pull your thread through or your needle through, check that you can't see your needle from the front. Yep, and you can't, so pull that thread through like that. Yep, and keep going a little bit more if you like, or you can stop and go back in the other direction, which we're going to do in a minute. Just check you can't see the needle. Perfect. Now, we're going to turn our work and go back in the same direction that we came from, but in a different area, of course, because you don't want to unravel what you did. So just skip a stitch or go to the opposite side and work through some of the opposite loops or just in and out of some threads anywhere you like. Now, before you pull that through, I actually don't like the way that's sitting there. That's better. Before you pull it through, check the front, make sure you can't see the needle. And you can do that 2 or 3 times. This is super thick for me, so I'm going to leave mine there. But you can do it another time if you're worried about that coming out. I would suggest a 3rd one. But since this is only a little placemat for me, I've decided to do 2. But I would suggest doing a 3rd one. Don't stress if you've cut it already. It shouldn't come undone, but just in case. We always do that extra 3rd one. Yeah. And now we're going to our corner, the base under, the thread under your work. Actually, I might leave that because you can actually, as you've done here, you can weave that in and out there. It's more important to show you how to do that very final thread that you have there. Yeah, so let's just grab that. Get excited, guys. You're at the end of your mystery blanket. How exciting is this? So once again, I've done this many times before where I've done that fancy join, as you may have seen in the past. If you haven't, it's probably not wise to do it when you're brand spanking new to crochet. Just grab your thread and pop your needle the way your thread is going at the back. Like if it's going down at the back that way, you're popping your thread down that way. All right. What I usually do is just grab a piece of thread at the back behind the stitch that I'm in and just pull this little guy down, and he tends to hide. A lot of people make a big deal. Oh, I can see the knot, I can see it. Well, if you do it that way, you really can't see it. All right. But you know what? People do find it difficult and they want to go the other direction with all the fancy joins and all that jazz, which is fine too. If you know another join, by all means do that. But in the meantime, I'm just, as you saw me just do now, went down the back of some threads, Having said that, I didn't ask you to check the front. You really do need to check the front that your needle is not showing. Yeah. If your needle is showing, then your thread is going to be showing. The fact that it's the same colour, well, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. But still, you don't really want that to happen, do you? Yeah. There we go. Now, on the way back, don't pull it too tight, yeah? On the way back, you're going to find another area and start splitting through the other side. There's no way, this is super thick here, there's no way that's coming undone, but I will check for the needle in front. No, you can't see that. Super thick, that's not coming undone at all. Well, it's really thick. That's not going to come undone. All right, now what I want you to do, I've just gone through some of that thread. Can you believe it? But don't worry, you can cut it close to it and pull at it and it'll come down. And give it a tug, and there you go, it's gone. With this one here, go up and down through some of the threading at the back, but take it a bit further and then turn and go up and then down. You don't want that coming undone. The other one here is this one right here. If you've already done one, just make sure all your other threads have been weaved in. And again, don't forget to join us on our lives at 4 p.m. Wednesday afternoons and 10 a.m. Saturday morning, Melbourne, Australia time. We do have a lot of fun, and on Saturday mornings we do a thing called Live Antics, where we pop people's name in a hat for those who are on the live, and they get to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial. So it's all very exciting. Well, whoever I choose from the hat, whoever gets pulled out from the hat gets to choose. As you can see, I'm just going around the center of your piece. Don't assume that you've crocheted around this thread that it's not going to come undone. These magic joins have a way of coming undone, so you must weave them in. Now I'm going back in the other direction on purpose because, well, you know, more reinforcement, yeah? All right, and this was our mystery blanket of 2024. Don't forget, guys, we do occasionally do these mystery projects. There will be another mystery project throughout the year. It won't be a blanket, but it will be a mystery project that may take about 2 or 3 parts to get complete. So there you go. Whoops. Let's bring that down. Here we go. There we go. All right, so now your blanket is now complete. How exciting is this? But again, that's it, guys. That's the super easy join for the beginner crocheter. Now, if you wanted to do the more difficult join, you could have completed that in 4A. But we're here at 4B. It has been done. That's our mystery blanket complete. Very exciting. Congratulations in completing your blanket. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do all the wonderful things that you guys pretty much already do for me. And don't forget to join us on our lives. We do have a lot of fun. Sometimes we're a bit silly. Not me, I'm the good one. But we have a lot of fun, and I'll catch everyone very soon. Congratulations on completing your mystery blanket. And ciao for now.